Next on Worcester News tonight, back on schedule. A smooth evening commute for T-riders after crews fix a signal issue. And one person is in custody after last night's incident at UMass-Amherst. Well, good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Andy Madison. Well, what a difference a day makes for the MBTA. Thursday night commuters were being warned to expect delays today while crews work to fix a malfunctioning signal at Boston's South Station. Early this morning, the signal was fixed and service returned to normal. Here's a look at Union Station. Earlier this evening, trains were running on time today for the morning and the evening commute. Passengers we spoke with say they're relieved there weren't any delays.
Since we're college students, so we come here during the weekends, and so it'd be annoying if it would take longer than that.
Given last winter, I think there were a few lessons learned maybe. So for the most part, at least in my travels, I haven't had too much trouble on taking the T around Boston.
The signal issue caused massive delays on Thursday for those traveling to Boston's South Station. A 19-year-old is in custody after an attack on a UMass-Amherst student Thursday night. A shelter-in-place order was given on campus for several hours while police investigated. Michael Rosenfield has the story from Framingham, where the suspect turned himself in earlier today.
19-year-old William McCune turned himself in Friday afternoon. He's accused of attacking a student inside a residence hall at UMass-Amherst on Thursday.
Last night I was sitting in my room with a friend with the door open and we heard yelling, so we walked down the hallway to see what was going on, and we found a kid that we didn't know bleeding on the ground and two other kids that we also didn't know standing over him. Morgan Hughes says the assault happened 2 doors down from her room. It looked like he was pulled out of somebody's room who lives on our floor right at the end of our hallway, and 4 or 5 people came rushing over to see what was going on, and a girl who came from the other side of the hallway yelled, "He has a gun," and we all ran into our rooms. A second suspect has not been identified. Campus police say surveillance video shows the 2 men being allowed to enter Pierpont Hall, even though neither are students.
Clearly shows these both suspects being led into Pierpont by a UMass student that they knew. So these people clearly were escorted into the residence hall by a Pierpont Hall resident.
The student who was attacked had a laceration to his head. He's been treated and released. At this point, police not really giving any details into a possible motive for the crime. From Framingham, Michael Rosenfield, Worcester News Tonight.
Tomorrow is a big day in the presidential race. Democrats in Nevada will hold a caucus, while the Republicans will be in South Carolina for their primary. And in just 10 days, Massachusetts will hold its primary. Tomorrow afternoon, Republican John Kasich will hold a town hall meeting here in Worcester at the Hibernian Cultural Center. Kasich finished second in last week's New Hampshire primary. As for the Democrats, Hillary Clinton's campaign is opening an office in Wooster tomorrow. It's one of 6 that Clinton's campaign is opening. Bernie Sanders already has a campaign office here in Worcester. A poll out this week showed Sanders leading Clinton by 7 points in Massachusetts. A Worcester jury finds Lorenzo Guthrie not guilty in the death of 21-year-old Eileen Farrow. Farrow was murdered in her home back in 1974. Authorities claim Guthrie had delivered furniture to Farrow's home the day before she was killed. Back in 2014, DNA evidence led police to indict Guthrie, who was living in Georgia at the time. An autopsy determined that she died from what a pathologist described as sharp force injuries of the head and neck. A murder weapon was never found. The jury of 6 men and 6 women deliberated for less than 3 hours before delivering a not guilty verdict. From an Arctic blast last week to 50-degree temperatures this week, the change in weather can impact where you live and what you drive. Our Patricia Nicholas has a look at what to watch out for.
From pipes to potholes, the changing weather is having an effect on our daily routines.
So this is what happens right here when the tire goes into the pothole.
Rick Ranstrom is the owner of Ranstrom's. For the past 35 years, he has seen the effects the weather has had on vehicles.
When the weather changes from the sub-temperatures we had last week to the warm weather this week, you just really need to pay attention.
Rick says potholes emerge from the changing weather. With newer cars, the effects can be serious.
They're more sophisticated now. The aluminum wheels, the aluminum chassis parts, doesn't take as much to bend the wheels.
Joe Cody is the owner of Mass Basement Waterproofing. He says during this time of year, basement flooding is not uncommon.
False water tables basically is what it is. Your house sits on a water table, and then as the rain comes and the snow melts, you get a false water table. And as that water table rises, that's when flooding occurs.
Cody says flooding can lead to mold and mildew. He says people can take precautionary measures to try to prevent it from happening.
Gutters, make sure those are cleaned. Make sure the downspouts are pointed away from the house. Get them 8 to 10 feet away from the house. You're doing just about all you can do to prevent water coming in.
Patricia Nicholas, Wooster, News Tonight.
A Leominster man is charged in a car crash that ended with a car being smashed into 2 pieces. Police say Tano Reyes ran a stop sign last night, then sped away as a state trooper chased him. But the car soon crashed into a telephone pole. Reyes ran away from the scene, but police captured him a short time later. He's hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries and will be arraigned when he gets out of the hospital. A local hockey team fighting cancer one slap shot at a time. Holy Cross men's hockey team hosted Pink in the Rink tonight to raise money for breast cancer research. The Crusaders teamed up with the Pink Revolution and put a pink stripe on their jersey for tonight's game.
I think it's really important that they have a hand. They're in our community, they're getting educated in our community, and they know it's going back into the community.
And just being able to give back. I mean, breast cancer affects everyone in some way or another, and just being able to be a part of it at Holy Cross is pretty special.
College students also gathered at Union Station tonight for a good cause. The annual Mr. Wooster Male Beauty Pageant brought students from Holy Cross, Assumption College, Worcester State, and WPI to the stage. The city's mayor was among the guest judges for the event, which supports the organization working for Worcester.
We draw in a bunch of college kids in this campus and a bunch of different schools. How do we get them all under one roof to celebrate this great city of Worcester? This is sort of the incarnation of that 3 years later.
The Mr. Worcester competition is now in its